Welcome to Trading Lounge and the indices, and looking at the S&P on the weekly chart here. So over the weeks and months, we've been looking from wave 4 to wave 5 up here as waves 3 and 4 and 5. Now the thing is that since we've started this wave 4 here, we've understood that the market needs to push higher, but at the same time we've been looking at this particular move here in different ways. So we'll still continue to do that, and I don't think it's got the top in yet, but it could be. If it's got a top in, then this top here would be in here, and we'll take a look at that as well. So today, because the market has moved down quite firmly, then we'll look at different levels that this market could pull back to, okay? But in the meantime, I still want to stay steady and fast and just stay with this particular count here until proven otherwise. You know, we tend to get emotional when things happen, so we just need to observe ourselves in that, and just be a little bit mindful of how we react to things. So that said, let's go into we'll look at the daily chart, and we'll look at different ways to count this up here as well. Okay, so just so we sort of satisfy different aspects of all of this. So on the daily chart here, picking it up from this wave 4 here, looking at it as 1 and 2 in here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, and that would give us at this point here, roughly to the top here, that would give us roughly the 38.2% over here for that. So that's kind of where we're at. It does make a nice 5-wave structure down here. So an A wave, a B wave, and a C wave here. But I have to say the C wave, you know, in favor of the bears, the C wave is rather sharp. We've seen Tesla come off the sharpest. The Microsoft and Google and so on have moved down. And we could take a look at some of these stocks as well, and I think we will. So in the first instance, there's a good chance that we could just have this A, B, and C correction here, and counting 5 waves in this move here, and then that would be the low, and then we'll push up, because we look for Thursday to be the bear day, Wednesday swing day, Wednesday and Thursday the swing days, because a lot of news comes out on those days as well, and the low PMI figures certainly brought that home. Now we also need to consider stock within all of this as well. So let's just have a little closer look at this here first. Let me just think about this for a moment. I'll just have a look at what I got on the 20k here. That's really the same thing, so that's not very helpful. So I'm just going to go onto the 1000 tick area and have a look at this here. So from this top here, we can look down at 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here, and that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and then an ABC here. This could be counted a bit differently than I've got it here, and this is kind of a little bit important actually, because you can kind of see here that it would be difficult to count this down. We've got 5 waves here, and then we've definitely got a nice big move here, so to speak, and then we've got this move down here, and we'll look at that in a moment. But with the NASDAQ, just while we're here, the NASDAQ actually counts down as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, so it counts down a little bit differently. So on the S&P, we've got the B wave here, but in this case here, we could look at a B wave moving up here, and then down for the C wave over here. So it could be quite possible that we could call this wave 4 here a B wave here, so an A and a B and a C wave here, but we'll come back to that a little bit later. But I just wanted to compare the two of them while they're here. in this instance here, from wave B down to wave C here, I think we've got 1 and 2 here. It looks like a nice 5 waves here for 1 and 2, another nice 5 waves in here for 3, 4 and 5 here. So an ABC to come back to the wave 4, 1 lesser degree, or the 38.2%, or some sort of little correction in here, not to worry about it too much. And then wave 5 down. Wave 5 will be quite short because the extension's in wave 3, so 1 and 5 can be roughly the same. Take that with a pinch of salt, but but there'll be some short covering in the Asian session, I guess, on the futures for this. But look, the A, the B and the C here. Now, when we look at some of the stocks that have been finishing off like this, let me just consider a few of them. So NVIDIA would be one of them. So let me bring NVIDIA across here, and I just end up sort of squashing that up a little bit. So I'll bring that down here. Now, NVIDIA's been in a correction for a little bit longer than the other markets, and however, it is a leading stock, so we could look at it as either wave A here. It's basically this one, but I need to just update it. But the point being is we've got an A wave here, ABC for the B wave, and then down for the C wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 down here. So what I'm saying down here is I'm saying that that this correction down here is just about sort of finished here. So I haven't actually bothered to count this in here yet, but I would assume there's some sort of finishing off here, so a little up and a down. So that kind of coincides with something of this nature here being here. So there could be an end to this at this point. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. It's a possibility. So it's one of the things that we just need to work through. Okay, so corrections, wave 4s, whichever degree this may be it 1 degree small or 1 degree higher here as a wave 4, because we'll have a look at that in a moment. Wave 4s are tricky. And so we've got NVIDIA here that we could have this little flip down. This is a little bit complicated here, but this is Apple, and basically we've got an A wave, a B wave, and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to come down here and then finish. Now sure, I could put this down here as a little 1, 2, 3, 4 here and 5 here, and have a bigger picture here, and then have a B wave up here and then a C wave down here as another bigger picture as well. But all I'm saying is that we're going to have a low in here, and then we'll just monitor this here. Now it could be a B wave here and then come down as a bigger picture, or we could have wave 4 in here. It's just one of the things that we have to work through. Now there'll be other stocks that are slightly different. So we've got Microsoft here, just to give you a bit of a go, but an A and a B and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it could play out like this, but there's also a case where this could be 5 waves finishing here and then a move up from that point there. So this is something else that we need to work through as well. And then Tesla, which was one of the stocks that really sort of came down hard at 5.65. We've been looking at this as a wave 3 here with a wave 4, so an A wave here, an A and a B and a C wave here, and then down as 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. It's moved through the 38.2% mark here, so it's down at the 50, but it also needs to come down and finish off. So we'll see what it finishes off here. Any further down at that point, and then Houston, we've got a problem at that point, and we'll need to look at not as a wave 3 up here, but a wave C, and then 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and the third wave down. So, but I just need to finish this off here. So I just thought I'd take you for a little tour through the stocks, because they do create the situation in terms of the indices. So just coming back to the S&P here, there is a chance that we could, based on some of the stock as well, have a nice A, B and C wave in here and just finish off here, and on the Friday we start to, next week we start to push up again here. But I can't say for sure at this point. Okay, so I just have to stay in the dark, and it's just something that we need to work through. Sometimes you know stuff and sometimes you don't. It's just the way it is, and wave 4s are a little bit like that. So coming back to the daily chart here for a moment on the S&P, this is what we've just been looking at, and I'll try to justify it with some stock and those sort of things. Is it true or not? Well, I don't know, because there's different ways to count all of this up here, and I've seen people with different counts, and their counts is just as valid as mine, and it's not that I'm right all the time. We're all wrong here and there, you know, and it's all really just about sort of sharing ideas, and at the end of the day it's about making money and looking for trade setup. So when we do know something and we've got a nice trend up and we get a support on a level, well, then we can go along and we make some money. Well, when we're in this sort of situation, you know, we can explore the possibilities and share ideas and talk about it, and eventually it will come to pass, and we may find support on the 500, and we could find a move to the upside, or we could be coming down further. So we just need to be open to that. So if we have a look at a couple of other counts here on the 2-day here, this would bring us down further here. This is another count here that's reasonable as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4, and having 5 waves in this move up here. So that fits actually quite nicely. So that would bring us down a little bit deeper at that point. So I think that's interesting. So that's a 38.2% retracement level there, coming in around the 5,250 at that point. And if that was the case, then, you know, well, we'll be coming down further. So the other thing here is that, you know, this little area here could be counted differently as well within all of this, you know. So this whole trend can be counted differently. But one would have to say that we're in a bull market, and currently we're just having another correction. Is it the top? Picking a top in the market is a bit of a mug's game, so we need to be careful about that. But you know, we need to have a look at all possibilities. So in this case here, I'm looking at a deeper correction and a different count. In this, I lift this up to cycle degree 1 and 2, primary degree 1 and 2, and look at all of this as the third wave and come back to the 5,000 at that point. So that would be, you know, a much deeper correction at that point. So it's good to put these things on the table, and then we can look back and see how silly we were, or how you know, accurate we were. And you know, I don't get into the business of being right or wrong. I just get into the thing of working through problems and finding, you know, trade setups basically. So, but just wanted to explore the possibility of, you know, a larger correction to the downside. We know that the, you know, the economy is looking better in terms of inflation and those sort of things. We know that the economy is, you know, coming in for elections in November, and those sort of things, you know, instability is not good for markets, you know, put it that way. So different policies and different focuses for different governments and so on, you know, always sort of balancing assets and liabilities in the best way they can, you know. So yeah, anyway, they're just sort of shooting the breeze on some of those sorts of things. So all we need to do is just go step by step. So really what we're going to be doing first up is just really working through this is the first step here. So let's just see how that goes. Now this came down quite fast for a C wave, so it doesn't give me a lot of hope, but we'll just see how it plays out, okay? At the end of the day, any bullish move will be looking at this 5,500 as a nice support. So in this case here, we get this nice A and B wave here and C wave here. You know, we get that A, B, and C. Now, it could be down for 1, back for 2, down for the third wave coming down, or down for 1 again, and so on. So that's something that we need to work through as well, you know, because C waves are normally a bit lazier. You know, they're normally not so sharp. The A wave is normally sharp. The C wave is normally on more of an angle compared to wave A here. So there is a good case for this to, based on that, to push down here further, but we just need to get past the first 5 waves. Once the first 5 waves comes into play, there will be some sort of rally anyway, but if that gets breached at that point, that will open up a short trade at that point too, taking out that low once you get a retest of that 5,500 there or somewhere close to that, So it's got to finish that 5 waves off here first, and then we'll just keep an eye on that rally on the move up here, and if it's corrective in nature, then we know that we're going to be taking that out, and then we have a look at the next moves down, So that's that. Sorry to waffle on so much. So in this case with the NASDAQ here, as I mentioned, it looks quite nice. If we take this top here and this here, that brings us in very nicely as a wave 4 at the 38.2% retracement level. So with the S&P 500, this move up here is higher and it makes a really nice B wave. In this case, it makes a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down here. So they're both a little bit different. So make that as you will. And so it's just something we need to keep a little bit of an eye on. I shouldn't really give it an alternative. I should give it equal ratings to this wave 4 here. But once again, the thing is that this move down through here needs to finish off here, right? Once it has finished off, and you can see the market up here somewhere, it is a possibility that we could, like the S&P, continue up here. But if we were going to do that, we would want to see a nice, 5-wave move to the upside. So we'd want to see to the upside here, say up to this point here, we'd want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here to actually confirm it. We can always buy the pullback here and then move up based on those 5 waves here. But if we move up here and we're in just 3 waves up here to the retest or to these previous highs here, well, then we've got a problem, and then we can come down at that point. So once again, it's just something that we need to work through. I won't go into the bigger picture on this one here. I can do it the same as I just did it to the S&P, but I spent too much time yakking on that. But anyway, you can see I don't have any answers. It's just something that we need to work through. And once this fills out over here, if we should see some little move up here. So the first thing that you'd want to be looking for if you're a short-term trader is taking the top of this here and the low of this here and looking at the 50-60% retracement level here, and to see if you can get, if you get 5 waves to that move here, because it will hit in at this supply level over here as well, So see what you get to that particular point. But once that does move up there, any move down below that there would create a short trade here. So it's not going to go far. We're sitting at the 19,000 here. So a bit of short covering, bounce. You'll see some increased volume come in on that, and then this one here will be lower volume to the downside, and then you'll see that move up here. So we just got to monitor to that. I mean, of course, you could go long here, just depending on who you are and how you trade and all those sort of things. So anyway, I'll just clean these up here. So we need to keep an eye on stock as well. So we'll see what comes out of the Friday. Then we have a look at the Russell as the ETF here, and I've got the stochastic sitting on just the standard here, because normally I run them quite fast, but in this case here, it's down quite low, isn't it? I mean, they can certainly flatline here and all of those sort of things, but one would say that we're looking for this as 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, and then building up here as 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're looking for wave 5 to the upside. We got this up here as a nice reasonable sort of impulse wave. I didn't really check it, and and then we're looking for wave 5 up here. So we could get a turn here as an A and a B and a C here, and then move up from that point. If that's not the case, then we're going to have to bring this across over to here, because we could view this here as 1 and 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here for the third wave to here, the fourth and the fifth wave to here. So we could do that. We could bring this down here further into wave thing and then move up at that point. So anyway, that could play out like that. Either way, if you're going to add to this position, you need to do it up at this point here. But yeah, I mean, I still like this trend. It's still intact. Everything's good about it. It's holding up well. You know, it's an inflationary sort of situation, really. You know, access to finance, cost of money, all that sort of stuff for these. So anyway, we'll see how this plays out. But yeah, looking okay. And then we come over to the European markets, and with the DAX here, and the FTSE is a bit the same as well. We've been looking for, on the daily chart here, we've been looking at wave 3 here with a wave 4 over here, and it's a bit of a dog's breakfast, and you could probably count it a bit differently as well, but I was looking at this in different ways. So an A wave down here, a B wave up here, and a C wave down here. Now that could still sort of play out, but it does appear that this move down here has got 3 waves here. So there is a chance that we could look at this as 1 and 2 here, and then 1 and 2 here. I really don't know about this too much. It did appear that this move up here was in 5 waves, so we look to go long above the top, and the second little high here is the thing, but it has pulled back down. So we will go in and look at it. You know, I can put wave 4 over here for this. This is a bit of a dog's breakfast, and I mean, obviously this move down here is not impulsive, it's corrective. So at some point in the future we should be taking out these tops. It's just, well, when does that happen? You know, well, I don't know. I don't know if we get some. This could be a WXY here as well, but you know, would we call this an impulse wave to the upside? You know, it's not a very good looking impulse wave to the upside. I mean, I can sort of wingle it and wangle it and get it there. But yeah, so anyway, let's just, it's a bit tricky. You know, we could have a you know, we could probably even look at it as a triangle, actually. But anyway, we're just looking for trades. We're looking for long trades because we're in a bull market. We've had a correction and we're looking for long trades. So that's basically what I've been doing. And it hasn't really given us the best opportunities. And the last opportunity that we had was this one here, where we could view it as a 5-wave move to the upside, so we could take that top out. And we talked yesterday about improving it. We could go long above the B wave here that we were looking for. Don't need that now. And you know, we're looking for it to come down because we have the A, the B, and you know, we've got all of this here. Now this also looks now as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 here. So because it took out this low, and this is 1, 2, looks like 3, 4, 5. So now we've got another issue here, you know. So I'm just going to remove this B and C here. Now the thing is we can still leave this here, but we don't normally, you know, if this is going to push up here, we don't normally buy that high there. What we normally do is we look for this. Let's just assume for a moment that we move up here. We look for the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, and then we would bring this over to here, and then we would look to improve on that with the second high here, and so on. Now it may or may not, you know, click in and get breached at this point, but that's how I would do it at this stage. Now I need to be careful now because this here looks like 5 waves down here. I don't know the best way to look at that. Probably to here with a 1 and A, B, C for 2 and 3, 4, 5. So here we need to be a little bit careful now. So in this instance, based on what we can see in this structure, is we need to take this low here. We need to look at this 50-60% retracement level area in here. And what we could do now, this doesn't really finish off nicely as 5 waves, but it's this moving back up here, overlapping that, unless we look at this as some sort of C wave up here and down. Anyway, we can't go long unless we get 5 waves up here until we get support on here, basically, because what you'll need to be careful of is in this space here, let's just assume the market does go up here. It could end up in 3 waves and not 5 waves up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have to wait here, unfortunately. So on the 18,500, we can go long, but we need this pattern here, the arrival at the 500, the reaction, the first high above the level. That's where we can go long over here, and then you can improve it over here. That's all I can do at this point, because the pattern behind all of this is not good enough. And this is the same with the FTSE as well. So as I mentioned, we're looking for wave 4 here. We thought we'd get another little move down here. It is creeping down. And yeah, this is also a bit of a dog's breakfast in here. I'm not even going to go into the intraday here either to do this, but if I do see an impulse wave to the upside, well, then we'll look to move on it. But this is still basically settling in to the downside here in some way or another here. It's still sort of edging a little bit lower in here, and obviously this number here will have a bit of a pull on it as well. So you could count this in lots of different ways, but once again, it's corrective, and we just need it to play out. So I would assume that we will see a bit more downside here, and that doesn't interest me shorting it into a larger number like this, so I'm just going to leave that. There's nothing here to see. And then we come over to the Australian market, and we were looking at this here as 1 and 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave. We were looking at this as being the fourth wave here, and we were actually looking to go long above this top or that second high here. I think we talked about that yesterday. But the market, and we expected the market to pull down, but it's pulled down too far. So taking the low out here, so we'll need to look at this here as the A, the B, and the C wave down here. Now the C wave down here will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1 and 2, and this here is probably, I could probably go 1 and 2 in here and 3, 4, 5, or I could go 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 in here. So there's a few ways to do all of this, but I would have to say that this low here will give some support, as will the 900 here, but we should see further downside here for this before finishing off this sort of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which we can't see just yet. And then we'll just have a look for the impulse wave. So we'll see how it sets up in the next session. See how it sets up for Friday. So we'll look for Thursday for the market to shore up, and then we may get a run on the Friday. So we'll see how the rest of the world also shapes up as well. Our banks are still okay to the upside. Our leading bank here, and this is, I'm not sure, 10% of the actual index itself of the ASX 200. So it's it's the biggest company now. It's taken over BHP, not taken over BHP, but in terms of valuation. So but look, this trend to the upside, this is the one that's really holding it to the upside, and yeah, so it's good. This wave 4 might end up being a little bit more complicated now. We may end up seeing something like this here before seeing this here today. Do you know what I mean? So just be careful if you get a little drop in here. It may not be the case, but we might look at this as an A and a B and a C wave in here. But apart from that, it's tested the 130. Everything's looking pretty good at this stage, and this 1 and 2 has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. So yeah, we should see a new high above here, but maybe not until Friday or Monday. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.